Video game sales this year are way down, and this holiday season has been no exception. Also, if Half-Life 3 comes out in spring of 2026, you heard it here first, so comment, like, subscribe, go to videogametango.com. And of course, we have to talk about Keeley, Muppets, and video game reveals at the Game Awards.
Hi, I'm Nick, and we put the B in Bitty Gums.
Hi, I'm Josh, and Nick Cage isn't the only person in a Wicker Man these days.
And I'm Andy. This is Video Game Tango. Hey, everybody, welcome back.
I'm here.
Are here, living.
We are alive.
No, I died.
I did too, but I've been resurrected. I've been resurrected just in time to experience Jeff Keighley in the Game Awards.
Keelster.
The Keelster, that's right. Before we get to the Game Awards, which is going to be a bulk of the content of this Eve's episode, I do want to bring up a couple stories. One that was big today.
Oranges too.
Because November sales are in.
Oh.
Overall video game spending in the US for November 2025 fell about 4% compared to November 2024. That is around $5.9 billion different than last November. Right. Weird. We make all of our video games $80 and we make a lot less money on them during the middle of what's probably could be considered a recession. Crazy.
Yeah. Kind of hard to afford COD 12 and a bag of groceries is $90.
Yeah. Now, on top of that, physical video game sales dropped sharply, about 14% year over year. The worst November for physical software sales since 1995.
Ooh. That stings.
Yeah, that's
rough.
30 years.
That number is not going to go up.
No.
I think we're in the last dregs of physical game sales.
Video game hardware spending plunged about 27% from the previous year.
Yeah.
Remember, Xbox and PlayStation, you guys just did price increases on all of your stuff. And also Nintendo, your console is $600.
I mean,
rough.
honestly, for like about 3 months there, every week Xbox came out and was like, we're raising prices on something else.
On something. Video game hardware spending plunged down 27%, dropping to about $695 million.
Wow. Now, remind me, all that video game hardware, that's shipped from overseas here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there would be, God, what's that?
That guy?
Ifs, RFs.
Terry.
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 Oh, shit, yeah, fuck.
That was an RTS, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, God, that's kind of appropriate. Yeah. So tariffs, also RAM pricing, right? All of these consoles have RAM.
We need to get back on that sheep breeding because these Rams, where are they?
These
They're
RAMs.
gone.
And only about 1.6 million hardware units were sold in this year that the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. Like, this is a console launch year, and hardware unit sales are down. This is the lowest total for November again since 1995 for hardware sales.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. That's absurd. Let's see. Let's get a breakdown here. Console sales were down across the board. Xbox Series S and S units are down about 70%. PS5 units
jumping ship now. The
Yeah.
Xbox is like done.
Yeah, especially if their next one is going to be $1,000-ish. Yeah. PS5 unit sales are down about 40%. And then the Nintendo Switch slash Switch 2, because they're being sold concurrently, are down about 10%, despite this being the launch year for the Switch 2.
I was going to say, honestly, the reason that's only 10% instead of in the 30s and 40s is because the Switch 2 came out and they're like...
And they're $600. Yeah. I mean, they're our big boy console price. Yeah. What are you going to do? It's a bit rough, man.
Consumers have spoken, not buy.
Yeah,
I guess
for sure.
is what they're going to do.
Yeah. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 was the best-selling game in November, though even it saw lower sales dollars compared to last year. So Call of Duty is always just a number one seller. There was a huge slump despite Black Friday and holiday promotions, which normally boost sales. A bit rough, especially for hardware, especially for physical sales. But the gaming industry across the board hit pretty hard this year over year.
For me personally, I don't know how to describe it other than to hear that Call of Duty 7 Blops was the best-selling game of the year is like hearing that the best independent Sundance film was
The Matrix.
the home decor aisle in Target. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
It just makes that little sense.
So utterly alien.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy. So, yeah, man, sales down pretty fucking hard year over year. And like, here's the thing. Spending is down. It's getting a little bit hard to afford things. We have this term affordability, right?
That's a myth, actually.
I don't think that really is the primary cause for sales being down.
You don't think it's a Gorgon from another time?
No, I
myth?
don't.
No?
No, I really do think that it is the increased pricing models for games, digital, physical, and hardware. These consoles going up like $49 to $79. The Switch 2 launching twice the price as the Switch 1. And physical copies of games and digital sales being $80 for AAA titles, which is the bread and butter for the gaming industry. Who would have seen this coming? I mean, other than us for the last whole year.
It's, requires divination, but the increase in price on AAA games and models has been coming for a long time. And I think they delayed it longer than maybe they should have.
Mm-hmm.
But how could they have increased prices more gradually when we had COVID?
Right.
It's like games have been $60, $50 for so long.
$60 since like the early 2000s.
All the AAAs are like, we gotta raise prices now. I'm sorry, but it's like, it's come so quick. And at a time when people don't really have money to be buying games anyways, it's like, I don't know if even if they had done it more gradually, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to tell.
It could have been more reasonable, but
yeah,
COVID messed stuff up.
But when we are talking 4%, dropping the price to $70, or only increasing the price to $70, I should say rather, may have made the difference of 4%, right?
Yeah, 4% is not a lot.
No, it isn't. I mean, it's a lot of fucking money.
Quantitatively,
but quantitative, yeah. So, the only other news that I want to get to before we get started with the Game Awards is this isn't a joke. It's Half-Life 3. So there has been a lot of talk on the internet about Half-Life 3 dropping with the Steam machine. It has been...
Boy, that'd be a well-kept secret for a hot minute.
Well...
If it drops with the Steam machine, because they're talking about dropping the Steam machine, next year, right?
Yeah, by like spring.
Yeah, like first quarter next year.
Well, probably by the end of the first quarter, maybe beginning of second quarter, but in the first half of next year.
But the simple fact that Half-Life 3 is rumored to release with it, like that would have to be the best kept secret in gaming.
That said, nobody really knew Half-Life Alyx was coming. It was like the same level of clamor for Half-Life Alyx as we're getting right now for Half-Life 3. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Valve is actually really good about keeping Half-Life quiet. Like, sure, we've been talking about the Steam machine and the Steam Deck and like all of their hardware announcements for like close to a year now. But that's because they had to do things like file patents and stuff. So like stuff that's more public, right? Unless they're making new technologies for Half-Life 3, which maybe they are. You're not going to find them filed away in the patent office.
But how easy would it be to disguise those patents for other things? Like, it's like, oh yeah, it does.
No, that does happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That said, like I said, this is kind of like the same degree of noise that was happening during Half-Life Alyx. Half-Life Alyx was a surprise to the world at large, right? And it coincided with the drop of hardware. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we may be looking at Half-Life 3. Now, to kind of substantiate this, there's a guy by the name of Mike Straw. He is a senior editor for Insider Gaming. He insists that it's real and says that he has a first-hand source.
Okay.
He's been talking about this for a while now, and he did say initially that he thought the initial announcement was going to be on what turned out to be the day that they did all the hardware sales announcements. So he knew that there was some kind of big announcement coming from Valve. He assumed it was going to be Half-Life 3. It turned out to be all the hardware announcements, thus adding a little bit of credibility to what might be Half-Life 3 like in the tubes. Things are kind of lining up. I think it's distinctly possible. So he insists that Half-Life 3 is real and expected to launch as a launch title for the Steam Machine hardware lineup in spring of 2026, along with Steam controller and the headset. I think that makes a lot of sense if there's going to be a Half-Life 3, launching it because Valve likes to launch Half-Life 2 was invented around a physics engine. Half-Life Alyx was brought around VR and the release of hardware. So to see it being released, incorporating new hardware and VR potentially as well, like they might do a third person or a first person shooter plus VR. I see that as being something that's totally within the realm of possibility. Now, it's all conjecture and guesswork, essentially, but Mike Straw does say that he has a first-person witness. So depending on how credible Mike Straw is, which he has been known to get, to be really well integrated in the industry, to get to break news, I don't know, there's some credibility to it. If you go to Gamer News, if you go to any of the gaming subreddits, there are, of course, fights happening back and forth. Like, it's not going to happen. You're fucking crazy. It's not going to be this early. We would have heard something. So, of course, it's the standard, but it's literally the same amount of clamor that we saw for Half-Life Alyx. So
honestly, dude, that is I'm sitting here kind of thinking on it. That is can you just imagine if CD Projekt Red hadn't said, hey, we're doing Cyberpunk 2077. It's going to be ready, in 2020. Here you go. But if they had just kept quiet, and then just all of a sudden 2 months, oh, hey, here's Cyberpunk 2077. Right. What?
Yeah.
What? So it gets rid of a lot of that crunch and a lot of that internet complaining before there's even a product to complain about, right? So I honestly, if they do that, other game companies should follow that lead and then just be like, hey, you didn't think there was a Call of Duty coming? Guess what? Here it is.
It actually has kind of been what some companies have been doing recently, especially the AA space, where it's they have the Game Awards or they have Summer Game Fest and they announce a game and they're like, also, you're going to be able to play it this weekend, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of become a big thing, doing, I don't know, hot drops, where hey, it's available now, kind of stuff has been happening more and more recently. Because I think that gets hype way up for stuff when you can be like, this is something really cool we just showed you. Also, hey, you don't have to wait until next year because it comes out
Demo's
tomorrow.
available
Right,
tomorrow.
so trailer we watched where the game's coming out in 2030.
Oh, that's Photor.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we'll get to shortly. Oof. Yeah, that's kind of rough. So yeah, I don't know. To see it drop alongside Steam Machine, brand new Steam controller, a brand new headset, kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we would have to wait for Valve to be doing something new. Not only that, they've been adding updates like RTX updates to Half-Life 2. They've been adding new features to Half-Life Alyx, things that they're finding in the experimentation of Half-Life 3, because Half-Life 3 has been an ongoing project all along. We have confirmation of that. There's always a part of a small team working on Half-Life 3, and sometimes they get ideas rolling and they try to implement them, and so it's in active development. We know that. So to see them throwing new technology into games that are, Half-Life 2 came out in 2007, somewhere around
Wild.
there. Yeah, right.
It's been a hot minute.
For them to be throwing out a bunch of new technology at this, like adding RTX support.
That does
and
lend credibility.
yeah, because like that's probably what they're working on in Half-Life 3, and maybe as an experiment, putting it in Half-Life 2 to get
Just to see
some
how it
feedback and
functions.
yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's again a sneaky way to do some play testing without being like, hey,
Yeah.
Half-Life 3, 2026.
Without being like, hey, we need
Yeah.
a few people to be really quiet about Half-Life 3 and,
Yeah,
and
we
fucking
can
alpha
just-
test it,
Good
right?
luck.
Yeah, exactly. So like I think that's a good way to test technologies that are going to be implemented.
Oh man, honestly, dude, the more you talk about it, the more we keep bringing up little points here and there. I'm a believer, baby.
I don't believe Half-Life 3 is ever coming out, but if it were to come out,
I'm starting to. Now would be the time.
Yeah, now would be the
like,
time.
you know.
yeah. So fingers crossed for a spring 2026 release of Half-Life 3. Moving on from Half-Life 3, let's get to the meat of tonight. Nick, why don't you go ahead and get us introduced to Exodus?
Beef.
Beef. What's for
Meat. Trailers. Game Awards.
Jeff
Keeler.
Keighley.
Miss Piggy?
Miss Piggy, don't remind me. We watched the Game Awards, and by we watched Game Awards, I mean I watched through the trailers at 2 times speed on a YouTube compilation video. Did my best to catch up on what I missed. There have been worse Game Awards. I enjoyed quite a few of the trailers.
Yeah.
As seems to be standard nowadays, most of them are cinematic, which are cool, but they don't really tell me much about your game. What really caught my eye was a game, because it's close to my tism and also just wildly bizarre. There's a game, Exodus, coming out, current release date sometime 2027. It is a science fiction role-playing game. Media impression was like highfalutin Mass Effect, like bigger scale, broader scale Mass Effect, being developed by Archetype Entertainment, a new studio, and published by, wait for it, Wizards of the Coast.
It's not a D&D game?
It is not a D&D game, and it baffled me. What does this mean? Why is Wizards producing a sci-fi third-person shooter action-adventure game in a setting that I've never seen before? So I looked as much as I could into it in the last hour, and I found out some interesting things. So this game is a part of a Wizards initiative to branch the fuck out. After everything Wizards have been through the last 3 to 5 years, their parent company, Hasbro and whatnot, is probably asking them, hey, you've monetized the hell out of Magic the Gathering. Why aren't we doing, more stuff? So Archetype Entertainment was spawned for that reason. Essentially given the green light by Wizards and I imagine by proxy their Hasbro to try to make something new. Let's see if we can start a new genre of things here. Archetype Entertainment is being headed by former BioWare devs James Olin. Thanks, Wikipedia. James Olin, Chad Robertson, and Drew Karpyshyn. I was able to find some information on them each, mostly about James Olin. James Olin is interesting. He got his start running some D&D games that he had waiting lists of people to play with him, and then moved on into BioWare, where he pretty much was the lead creative director of every big BioWare game you can think of, right? From Baldur's Gate to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. He worked on Dragon Age Origins, all this stuff. And then Drew Karpyshyn himself has had quite a interesting thing as well. Now, what is this game? It's hard to tell, but I was pleased to find out that not only are they making a game in this universe, they have a pretty well-respected British sci-fi author writing a book in the same universe, as well as James Olin himself running a tabletop game in this universe using D&D 5e rules. I'm assuming it's on YouTube. I haven't watched it yet. As much as I can find about this universe, its storyline currently spans from near modern day to 40,000 years from now and happens in a nearby galaxy, the Gemini Omega Centauri cluster, blah, 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 blah. But the book and the TTRPG Let's Play in the game, I think all take place during different timelines or across different timelines. So out of the gate, we have a setting being made by the author something Hamilton and James Olin, Peter F. Hamilton, Drew Karpyshyn, and whatnot. These are all people who've played a lot of TTRPGs. They've written sci-fi books, multiple authors in the crew. everything from the non-money side of the table looks fantastic. For me, cinematic trailer, like, had I not known, it looks generic as hell. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what more to say about the trailer other than that's definitely a video game. Should all know by now how I feel about Wizards and Hasbro. So it's this weird conflux of like, I don't know how to feel about this game. It's going to depend entirely on how clumsy and curmudgeonly Wizards and Hasbro is. How much are they going to interfere? What are the money people going to do to this game? Are they biting off more than they can chew? I don't know. But it's just a bizarre conflux of events, right? Like Wizards trying to branch out and do something new. They got some good people on board.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming out the year after next, essentially a year from now, a little bit longer. We'll see. But yeah, we haven't had Mass Effect in a while. We haven't had a really solid sci-fi RPG other than maybe Outer Worlds kind of taking up that slot.
Yeah.
First sort of Outer Worlds was hit or miss. The second one seemed to be getting better reviews. So interesting. I'll keep an eye on it. I'm definitely going to watch that Let's Play, see if I can get a feel for how the universe works. But yeah, just kind of a wild turn of events. Not what I was expecting from Wizards.
That's good news because I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, cool. I'm not getting much from the trailer, but the futuristic setting, the art direction looks generic but well made.
Yeah.
So but then at the end of the trailer, it's like Wizards of the Coast. I'm like, oh, well, shit. Maybe it's not gonna be great. But that raises hopes for me a little bit.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, their copy says they plan on including large-scale planetary exploration, interplanetary and interstellar travel, but AI systems designed to create interactive encounters with characters and factions. So,
I mean, that's corpo speak.
well, it just means they might be using like AI-generated dialogue
Yeah.
and whatnot. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, they can promise the moon. I've learned I'm jaded enough. We'll see what happens. But it's weird. It's good names, bad company, weird situation. More morbidly curious to see how this pans out than anything, really.
Yeah, it's going to be neat to keep an eye on it and see how development goes, and then get a launch and see how the game is.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, the proof will be in the pudding. Speaking
The pudding.
of pudding, Josh, why don't you introduce us to Photor?
Now, guys, you hear the word Photor, and many of you are like, "Is Andy having a stroke?"
Yeah,
But
'cause
now the gaming inclined is like, did he just say KOTOR wrong?
Right.
No, he did not. Now, guys, KOTOR, the remake,
Knights of the Old Republic. For
Knights
those
of
that
the
don't
Old
know.
Republic for you unrefined barbarians out there, from a less civilized time. Fate. Now, first off, Knights of the Old Republic being done by God only knows who at this point is still in production limbo. Who the fuck knows? So, Fate of the Old Republic is let's call it the spiritual successor to the old KOTOR games. Now, it is being developed by a little company called Arcanaut, and you're like, who the fuck is that? They just formed in July of 2025 of the year of our Lord, just 5 months ago, 8 months ago, right? Somewhere in there. You're like, what the fuck are they doing with a LucasArts title? Why? Who are these people? Why do they have the money? Well, it turns out that the head of this is one Casey Hudson. Now, Casey Hudson, again, I didn't really know who that was, but he gave us Knights of the Old Republic. He was the primary director, like a arts director there. He was a director for all of the Mass Effect games. And when he left BioWare, he actually came back and helped them do Legendary, Mass Effect Legendary release. So, motherfucker knows what he's doing. He's got some titles under his belt. I feel reassured with the fate of the Old Republic being in his hands. now we kind of made a jab earlier. It's like, oh, release date 2030. Casey Hudson says it will absolutely come out before 2030. That is a bullshit safety line
bet.
Yeah. Right. So he's essentially guaranteeing before 2030, didn't give an actual release date. Now, much like many of the trailers at the Game Awards, it is just a cinematic trailer. But boy, howdy, do you get in your feels when you watch this trailer? The first time the lightsaber ignites, guys, I've been waiting for a Star Wars RPG game that I can just sink my whole butt onto. Yeah, I got graphic.
Job of the butt.
Yeah, job of the butt. Drop of the butt. Right
it's
on.
It's really gross, especially knowing where that thing's been tonight.
Yeah, no, it's. But then you see
Ravenholm?
the fucking.
We don't go there.
God, you see the Sith Leviathan in the background, and you're just like, oh, I haven't seen that since KOTOR, a Leviathan class destroyer. Get it, baby. Who is this? We don't know.
She's sweaty though.
I mean, it's wet out, dog.
Okay, whatever.
You know, come on.
That's
now.
back to.
So,
blue milk.
But so we don't know what's going on. We don't know the point of it. But what Casey Hudson did say, saw his name pop up at the end there, for those of you watching with us, is that it is going to be a single-player, narrative-driven action RPG and an epic interactive adventure across the galaxy on the brink of rebirth, where every decision shapes your path towards light or darkness. So, guys, if you played KOTOR, you've been holding your breath. We can finally let one out, maybe. It might be happening.
Yeah, because
it looks good.
Didn't they cancel the remakes?
So right as of this article, as of yesterday, the Old Republic, the remake of Knights of the Old Republic is still happening.
Still going? It's
still going, but it's in kind of development hell. Mm-hmm. We also, from the Night of the Game trailers, saw a second, 2 Star Wars games announcements in one night. Get the fuck out. Star Wars Racer, Galactic Racer. I know there's going to be pod racing. Now, guys, I know they didn't show pod racing. I get that. But Sebulba was in the thing.
So old, but
I mean, maybe he's retired and an announcer now.
And at the end, we heard his very distinctive pod light up right before the trailer ends. So I don't know why they didn't show us pod racing. I can't. We've had this discussion, off camera 4 times, why the fuck weren't there pod racers? Now, I still think there's going to be, because the game would just be a massive disappointment without pod racing.
It could still be good.
It could still be good, but you're going to miss the mark if there's no pods in it.
I don't want cube competitions. I want pod racing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, there were no announcement, but it's a good time to be a Star Wars fan and to play video games. So in the mix is Star Wars Eclipse, and if you know Star Wars, you know exactly who the Eclipse are. Zero Company, which makes me pray to God it's gonna be like a commando. Do you remember Clone Commandos?
Yeah, for the GameCube.
Yeah,
that game was awesome.
Right? So Zero Company makes me feel like it could be a Clone Commando. So, guys, a good time to be a Star Wars fan and to play video games in the next, 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something.
I was, and then I thought better.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, speaking of better, I don't know. Orbitals.
You bet.
It's a game that I don't have much to talk about other than the aesthetic. And the aesthetic is something that I don't know why this hasn't been done yet, but it's anime, the game. It looks like you're playing a Studio Ghibli title. Why hasn't this been done? We have had the technology. I have to assume we've had the technology. Why hasn't this been a thing already? Maybe it has been, and I just totally missed it, and it's made by some smaller developer, or maybe they have a billion of these in Japan.
It's just not common. I mean, even stuff like Persona definitely looks anime adjacent.
Anime
like,
inspired.
Yeah. Or you have games where it's like there's the game, and then there's also an anime like injected into the game and like the cutscenes.
Totally.
But not the game itself.
Yeah.
You know?
Like we've been having anime injected into cutscenes and stuff since forever. Like a Chrono Trigger on the PS1. That was incredible. I mean, but it's anime, the game. It doesn't show a lot as far as the gameplay goes. You see a little bit of what looks like over the shoulder third-person platforming and a little bit of shooting in space stuff. You don't see much more than that other than a few flashes from other cutscenes. But it's all done in an anime style. Some of it has that pseudo-anime 3D style, but that's all the environment. The main characters that you play, the two characters that they show you, they are hand-drawn. They are 15 frames per second. They are anime. They are anime characters.
And if this helps you, dear viewer, it's like heavily pastiche inspired by what looks like Daft Punk's Interstellar 5555.
It looks
like that era of anime.
It looks like anime that when I think of anime, I think of like late 80s, early 90s anime style. And it's got it. Like it even has a bit of like a film grain quality to it, which is awesome. I look at this and I just think like finally something new, something that hasn't been seen before, something that I haven't seen done before. And while maybe the gameplay isn't innovative, maybe it isn't even good.
It looks It Takes Two-y.
Sure, it does. And I imagine there's probably some kind of working in tandem thing that you've got to do. It looks like that might be the case. Like somebody's running the gunner, somebody's flying the ship, that kind of thing going on. Especially with the emphasis on the fact that there's two players and it's a co-op space adventure. Maybe something like that. But yeah, man, coming out of the Nintendo Switch 2, I don't know that there are any other platforms announced yet. It definitely looks like Switch 2-y.
Yeah, it does.
Hopefully it's more than that. I really hope so.
Because say to play this co-op game, you only need $1,200.
right. So I'm just glad to see something new at the Game Awards. To be honest, because Game Awards is really focused on, at the end of the day, AAA releases, and it's nice to see something else in there, just a little something else.
Well, and I think it speaks to the paradigm shift that you're seeing a lot in Western gaming, embracing the Eastern, the JRPG style. Like, I mean, because Clair Obscura 33 was the big winner, right?
Oh,
France.
That is France.
Yeah, but it's still...
So it's inspired by JRPGs. Like, literally... The lead developer who accepted the Game of the Year award said thank you to Hironobu Sakaguchi as his main inspiration for making games.
It in the game.
100%, absolutely. Like you can even see it's not Tetsuro Nomura, the artist for early Final Fantasy games that had the really wispy drawings. Like if you bought an art book, you would see this guy's drawings.
Yoshitaka Amano.
Thank you. Super recognizable style, and you can see that influence in Clair Obscur for sure. Yeah. So yeah, 100%. It's very obvious that it's like an homage to early Final Fantasy games, and they wanted to do the like active ATB system, active time battle system. They wanted to have turn based, but to add to it, right? To innovate in that space, which is super neat considering that most JRPGs at this point are going like action RPG style, even Final Fantasy, right?
Right.
Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy, I think 13,
which is an embracing of our gaming style, right? A little more like, because it's like, oh, well, they buy all the fucking video. Like the Westerners buy a lot of the fucking video game, better include them. I get it.
And I like what they've done with the remake and rebirth have phenomenal fight systems. There are a lot of people that disagree with me, but that's only because they wanted turn-based, right? So it's while it's polarizing, I think it's really good. All that being said, I guess congrats to
while it's only coming out on the the racing game that we just watched.
Switch 2.
Switch 2.
Orbitals.
There it is. Thank you. And while Orbitals is only coming out on the Switch 2 for right now, I don't even think 5 years ago that game would have been made, even for just the Switch 2, let alone a multi-platform thing, right?
Yeah, maybe not.
It might have been a Japan only release, but like that's a worldwide release there. So that's that's cool. Cool to see.
Up and down, like kind of flotsam jetsam, feast or famine nature of indie development has been entirely at the whim of the economy or what AAA is doing. But things like Hollow Knight and Stardew Valley and whatnot, they've really they're fundamental building stones for the next generation of devs who play these games into these things and move on to be like, we can do this. And then if enough of those come out, they start doing well. Nintendo's like, hey, what if we have an online marketplace where we sell indie games?
Right.
It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, you worked hard enough, you kind of made it so that indie games are starting to reach the mainstream. The idea of an indie game being on a Game Boy in 2003 is hilarious, right? That never would have happened, So it's really nice to see.
This is completely tangential. It's on that note.
Hyper sequitur.
But it totally not anything to do with the Game Awards. Why did it ever leave? Like the Xbox 360 brought Xbox Live Arcade, where they published indie games for free to developers if they didn't have enough capital, right? Like, what happened, man? Xbox Live Arcade was so wildly successful. Why hasn't everybody followed that model and helped people to publish games?
Honestly, dude, we talk about that at least 2 or 3 times a year.
It's just so frustrating,
why the
man.
fuck did that go away?
It was like the first golden age of indie gaming that was super, super accessible. Everybody had Geometry Wars on their Xbox. Every single Xbox had Geometry Wars on it because it was a cheap and sometimes free game available on the arcade. For a lot of people, it was their very first digital purchase of a game because they could get it for $1 and they didn't have to have a disc. It took 5 minutes to install and it was fun as fuck. Like, why isn't that still here?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Pardon me.
It's money.
Yeah, I guess.
Money.
Yeah, but it made them money. Like they made
But
money on their marketplace.
It didn't make them fast money.
I guess
They want that
not.
fast
I guess
money.
not. But how about just more money? Like, come on, more is more.
My gangster name would be Slump.
DOT, dollars at a time, baby.
So while we do have time, I do want to very briefly talk about the only thing that there's 2 points to this trailer that I want to talk about. One is that it is being made by J.J. Abrams. 2, it's being made by one of the co-developers for the original Left 4 Dead.
Ooh.
Yeah, this game is called 4 Loop. It is just an extraction shooter as far as I can tell. The world looks neat. I mean, it's essentially the world after AI took over. So post AI apocalypse, the crux of the game is like if you die on Earth, you get remade and you go. It's almost identical to Ark Raiders in the way in that functionality, right? But J.J. Abrams. So I'm assuming that there's going to be some kind of narrative, and it's probably going to be well made. And 2, one of the original creators of Left 4 Dead. I'm hoping for the gunplay of Left 4 Dead and the frenetic action that had with because most of these extraction shooters, they're a Tarkov-like, or they're just all very similar in that it's slow, methodical, gathering, sometimes some objectives, and usually enemies are all bullet sponges. Some of them have some PvP enabled, but a lot of them don't. And it's like a very slow-going experience. I'm all for it. It's great. But to get some variety in that space would be super, super refreshing. I like the gameplay loop of these games, but to get like more frenetic combat would be super, super nice.
My angle, similar parallel path, is that extraction shooters are, they're like a niche of a niche of a niche.
Yeah.
And we have so many coming out that, much like the algorithm doesn't care what content is in a video, if people are watching it, it promotes it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of AAA studios have been pushing nonstop PvP focused extraction shooters.
Yeah.
Because PvP focused extraction shooters were doing great.
Yeah.
I think they missed the point that like, if you're going to make a PvP game, you're always going to attract a PvP audience, but that comes with its own pros and cons. If there's anything I've seen out of Arc Raiders over the last 4 months, it's that there's a surprising lack of that toxic PvP environment
sure.
in certain veins of the game. And I think that if I were to see anything out of a new extraction shooter that I think could break the mold and get ahead of the rest, it's focus on your PvE as well.
Yeah.
Right. Like I played a few PvE VP extraction shooters, but the environment, the fighting the monsters, whatnot, always kind of felt secondary.
Yeah.
But like having a game where it was PvE first with PvP elements as opposed to the other way around, especially from a designer who knows Left 4 Dead, like that's a tack you should take. Otherwise, you're competing in the worst market to compete in right now.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to beat Arc Raiders. You're not going to beat fucking Tarkov or what's the I already forgot the name of the Titanfall one. The old one, Apex. Like, you know, everything's covered. So good luck. Don't be the next Concord, you know?
Right. Yeah. Don't be Concord, High Guard. Man.
We can't finish this without at least mentioning Divinity 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you have something?
Well, I don't.
I don't know
that's
the next thing.
I don't know if it is Divinity 3. I think it's just Divinity.
It is just called Divinity
I
because
think it's like.
I did see an interview on Reddit with one of the community contacts from Larian saying there is ties to Divinity 1 and 2. You do not need to have played them at all to enjoy this one. There will be nods to the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So it feels to me like it might still be set in the same setting. Maybe not, but I think it is. It's just an entirely new story, which given spoilers in Divinity 2, you can't really go any farther from like you kind of
from where you end.
From where you end to Divinity 2, right? It's like you need a new story. But yeah, that trailer, fantastic. It was so glad to see them like get out from under the yoke of Wizards now that they've proven themselves twice over with Divinity 2 and Baldur's Gate. It's like they get to make the game they want. They have experience now. I'm disappointed there's no gameplay, but I understand why. So I'm just going to be excited enough. This trailer, dear viewer, Divinity, go watch the trailer.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't put the kids to bed.
Well, this trailer does specifically say it's for adult audiences only, and that's true.
And they mean it.
Yeah, no, there's sex and gore and blood and death and vomit.
Honestly, it just feels like Divinity or like Larian's like, we got the big boy money now.
Yeah.
And it's
They could do what they
gonna
want.
get fucking weird.
Yeah.
Come join if you'd like. Otherwise, we don't give a shit. We're still doing it. Like it.
My only complaint is we get to watch pigs eat vomit twice in a trailer. Like that, it's the first time I've ever seen pigs eat vomit in a trailer, and I got to see it twice. That's my only
That's
complaint.
the first time I've seen somebody bareback a lizard.
I would say I've been to Klamath Falls, so I've seen a pig eat vomit. No, I'm just
Twice in a day. Oh shit, that was great. Man, it's cool. I mean, like, I didn't play the Divinity games. I know you guys did at least
a bit.
They're very Nordic.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in like a Thor Loki kind of way. I mean like they do things their own way over in that part of the world.
Yeah. More hell. The Senwa Saga, Hellblade.
Senwa Saga. Yeah. It's just their cultural norms are so much different over there, and their take on mythology and lore. Like I tried playing Divinity 1, the game itself was tough. Divinity 2, it was an experience. I mean, I would have had a better time for reasons, but like the story itself is just all over the place in both a good and a bad way. So I'm excited to see, now that they've got a lot of game dev experience under the belt, to see if they can do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Also,
if you were confused by the, we're playing the trailer now, but if you were confused at all by the weird thing in Joshua Tree National Park a few days ago,
It was for this.
it's called the Hellstone. It was promotional material for this game. You do see it at the end of the trailer. There are still people on Reddit that are like, what the fuck is this thing? I'm still kind of scared of it. So if you happen to miss the news. It's that. I imagine you're probably not listening to this podcast, but just in the case that you were still scared of the Hellstone, it was for a video game. Feel like should have continued talking through the end of the trailer, but
I was like, wait, are we stopping? And then it was quiet, and I was like, oh, it's been quiet too long.
What we'll do is we'll keep this in the video podcast, and I'll cut it earlier for the audio podcast because they're not watching it.
Yeah.
Versus the video. So for everybody watching here on YouTube, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly.
You get a special thank you. Please give us a special subscribe.
Secret ending. Stop buying Call of Duty.
Yes, I'm buying Call of Duty. All right, everybody. Good night.